And then I'll retweet your tweet.
Okay, let me go dig up that link and tweet it. But we're live on the red carpet.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Getting ready for Hebsy on Sports episode 231. Thanks for joining us. The podcast will be beginning soon. But let me tell you what we've got on the show today. Our friends at CrossFit for the third week in a row. The day they said we were going to sponsor, re-up the sponsorship, the next day, that's it. We still have our sponsor obligations. And when golf comes back, we're going to call them, right?
Hey, Hebsy, I'm going to interrupt just to switch us back to the old way. I find you sound a little bit like echoey, so I'm going to switch it up a bit. Yeah, so stand by here. This will take 2 seconds, and then I'll get the link. Okay. So we're going to mute you here, and I'm going to bring you back over. There you are. Okay, now
that?
Yeah, you sound a bit better here. Okay, so we'll stick to the regular, and then I'll get this link tweeted at you. But you may continue, my friend.
Sure. Where was I now? Crosswinds. Oh yes, the story of Otis. The Raptors. Looks like they're out. They're like hanging by a thread. Why didn't they tank? They said they were going to tank. If they were going to, they would have traded Kyle Lowry and said, "All right, we're tanking." But then down the stretch, it was like, "Do you want to tank? Do you not want to tank?" And then last night they didn't even dress Lowry, not because he was hurt, because they were resting him. What were they resting him for? So we'll get into that. The Leafs. I feel bad for Austin Matthews. 40th goal of the year, 40 goals in 49 games. And then there's this McDavid guy that's so much better than everybody else. He might get 100 points this year in a 56-game schedule.
Wow.
He's 4 points away. So it kind of reminds me of the time that Brad Park was playing defense for the Boston Bruins, and he was a really good defenseman. But it just so happened that the other defensemen at the time were Dennis Potvin, Larry Robinson, it was really Borja Salming. It was really tough to be an all-star defenseman in those days. And for Austin Matthews, it's going to be really tough to win a Hart Trophy as long as this McDavid guy is around. So you think back in sports to all the times where there was this great player, but there was one guy that was just better, just dominated. Like in the days of Gretzky, was Lemieux the second best player in the game? For sure.
Right. Great example. But anyway. I think of really good guys like I don't know, Dale Howachuk, for example. Like Dale Howachuk was a great player, but he played in the same division as all those Oilers. It just
exactly. You know, and there's all kinds of stories like that. And generally, those particular guys, the ones that weren't the superstar, had less of an expectation on them. I mean, they would have been thrilled in Winnipeg if Dale Howachuk was scoring 95 points a season. They really were. They understood, those fans. It was frustrating, and they knew how good Howachuk was, but it was always, geez, if Howachuk was playing for the Oilers,
right,
what would he have been like? And it's always that. Boy, can you imagine if a guy that you really appreciated, or a female, it doesn't matter, male or female, but someone you wanted on your team or playing for your country, let's say. Boy, wouldn't it be great if Serena Williams was playing for Canada, right, in the Davis Cup?
Right.
Something like that. Can you imagine some superstar athlete playing for your team or your country? Jays without George Springer. I think Springer's trade bait right now. I would say, look, we can win without this guy.
What?
We can win without him. Let's cut our losses.
Wow.
Because you know as well as I do, Mike, that every time he runs, whether he's running for a fly ball, if he ever plays the outfield, or whether he's running up the first baseline to beat out, you just worry that he's going to he's going to pull a Michael Johnson. Right?
Right.
That quadriceps going to go on him. I was thinking of starting a Twitter account, George Springer's quadricep. So I want to hear what it has to say.
It's angry.
Because everybody else has been lying to me.
All right, 9:19. I don't know what the atomic clock says there, but
wait. So we're going to talk about
9:20.
Springer.
Yeah.
We're going to talk golf. Oh, sports media, and whether Wayne Gretzky is going to be part of the ESPN coverage.
Oh.
And a story I have to tell where I was this close to being a NHL play-by-play guy. Like I almost got a gig where I was going to be doing every single game, which I had some experience in, but anyway. And my thoughts on Roberto Alomar, who minutes after we went off the air last week, that story came down there.
Right.
Okay,
my friend, we're recording. Where am I here? Okay. We're recording in 5, 4, 3.
The following podcast is brought to you by Crosswinds Golf and Country Club in Burlington. Now, I'd like to tell you that golf courses will be opening any minute now in Ontario, but then I'd be lying. I can tell you this. When the lockdown ends, you're going to want to experience the splendor and natural beauty of Crosswinds. Nestled between Rattlesnake Point and Mount Nemo on the Niagara Escarpment, Crosswinds offers million-dollar views, fabulous golf, and much more. Just not right now. As soon as they get the green light, though, Crosswinds will be ready to welcome you with open arms. And if you can't wait that long, go to crosswindsgolf.com and see what they have to offer and look at the gorgeous pictures and dream of the day you'll be out there playing this outstanding golf course. So get ready to book your tee time because we'll all be golfing soon at crosswindsgolf.com. Now, Mike, let's start the podcast. Live from Toronto, it's Hebsy on Sports, episode number 231. Thanks so much for joining us. Great to have you along. Mark Hebsher here in the Little Italy studios, and Toronto Mike in the south of Lakeshore, near the lake, New Toronto studios.
You got it.
The mothership. And the backyard studio coming along, Mike?
Yeah, I got some stuff happening next week back there.
Right on. Are we allowed to gather outdoors under this restriction that we have?
There's a media exception, which I will fully exploit.
All right, good. So will I. What do we got in the show today? Looks like the Toronto Raptors aren't that interested in making the playoffs after all, despite what we may have thought, what they may have told us, what they may have indicated to us by not trading Kyle Lowry. So they keep him, and then they rest him in a huge game last night. They rest him in a must-win game. What the F is that all about? Meanwhile, the Toronto Maple Leafs trounced the Montreal Canadiens as Austin Matthews hit the 40-goal mark. Does that really mean anything? Not when Connor McDavid's about to score 100 points in a season. Matthews is going to be the runner-up for the rest of his career to this guy, unless McDavid chooses another sport. Man. Tell you what, it's looking more and more like it's going to be Leafs-Habs in the first round. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but I'd like to get way ahead of myself and predict a Montreal-Toronto first round. It's looking better and better. I can hardly wait. I know a lot of other people are like that. I know a lot of Habs fans are like that too. They think that they're a little sleeping giant there. When Carey Price comes back, he's going to be 100%, and it's all over for the Leafs. It's going to be like the China Wall. We'll see. The BlueJays don't need no stinking George Springer, do they? I can hear Colonel Potter. Springer! Not Klinger. Springer. Like yelling for him.
Right.
They're doing just fine without the $150 million man. Maybe a trade. Maybe we don't need to see this guy because I don't want to see him grabbing his frickin' quadricep every time he runs. Imagine. There's a drive, left center field. Springer on the run. Oh, no! Pulls a Michael Johnson, pulls up lane, ball goes for extra bases, inside the park home run. Springer can't even get up. That's my fear from now on. Because this is the longest rehab in the history of quadriceps. Lots of good news coming from the minor leagues for the Jays. Hey, young pitchers are doing a hell of a job. We might just have a pitching staff by the end of the season. This team could go all the way. My thoughts on Robbie Alomar. That story broke like 2 minutes after we went off the air last week.
Right.
Also talk about the new NHL deal with ESPN and Turner and whether the Great One will be part of the broadcasts.
Is that you?
What?
The Great One. Is that you?
Well, I'll tell you about the time that I almost became a full-time NHL play-by-play announcer. That was many years ago, but it's a pretty good story. Before we begin, Mike, it's a bittersweet day for me. Because I'm putting my cat up for adoption.
What?
Today.
What?
Otis.
What
Here's
happened?
Why.
Yeah.
He never comes home.
But
there are other places that he goes to. Okay. And I know that. I mean, I know that he's going somewhere else. But he's found at least a couple places, one in particular, 2 doors away, that he just loves. Oh. He loves going there. He loves hanging out there. He loves sleeping there.
So yeah.
That's where he's going.
Wait, so you've talked to these people and they say they love your cat?
He loves them. See, he doesn't love me. He loves them, right? As much as a cat can love human beings. What I mean, he loves the environment there much more than he likes it here. Wow. Now, how do I know that? He never comes home. I put food and water out for him. I don't see him.
This is a true act of love. Like if you love Otis enough that you realize that he'd be happier with someone else, and you make that happen. That is like true love. That's kind of beautiful.
And I'd be happier too, because then I can get another cat. I can get a cat.
Right, a cat that wants to be around you.
A lap cat.
Right.
Not a cat that leaves and 6 days later comes back, with like a cut on his ear, and so he's staggering, and
wow,
his coat is all matted, and he eats something and he has a little drink, and then I brush him and then he takes off. I don't see him for 5 days, 6 days, 8. I don't know. Today's Friday. I haven't seen him all week. I think I saw him. I think Sunday was the last time I saw him. Wow. And in between, my neighbor Ben and Ashley see him all the time. Sleeps there, eats there, hangs out in the backyard, keeps the skunks away. So I said to them, do you guys want the cat? Because he obviously loves you and you care about him, and he doesn't love me. And he should go to a good home. He should know that that's his home. His stuff is here. He's welcome there.
And he's close enough you can visit him.
No, I'm not going to visit.
I don't know. Like you'll see him.
But I'll see him in the neighborhood.
Well, yes, you'll see him in the neighborhood.
Which I do anyway. Like I see him in the neighborhood and I'm like, hey, Otis, like he's my cat. And then he runs away.
What country is he from again? Greece? Where's he from? He's
from Tehran, Iran.
So you got him his green card or whatever. You brought him over, right. and now he's met somebody and fallen in love. It's a beautiful story.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And they fall in love with him too, and it's all good because he's an outdoor cat. He shows up when he wants to, and you got to be prepared for that. You can't be worried that oh my God, he's out all night. I haven't seen him.
Wow.
I'm way past that.
So when does this become official? Like, are you guys just gonna
today?
Wow.
Make the handoff this afternoon. Cat will never know.
What? Yeah, the cat will never know.
He'll show up and all his stuff will be there. His bed will be there. His scratching post will be there. His litter box will be there. It's actually not even because he goes outside. He never goes inside.
It's quite the story. The Otis story should be a book. Are you going to write the book of Otis?
No. I haven't even had him a year. He's going to be 3 years old next week, a couple of weeks. He's young still. He's like a teenager. So anyway, good luck to Otis. And that's that. I have to figure I have to tell you, I have to get it off my chest because it's bittersweet. And you look at the windows, I wonder if the cat's going to show up. Maybe not. And then 5 days goes by, 6 days goes by, and you realize he's not going to come back.
So when
if
do you
he does, it's going to be for a little while.
When do you get your new cat?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't even decided whether I want a kitten. I want 2 cats at the same time so they can keep each other company. Who knows?
Keep us posted.
That another time. But I'm open for suggestions. If you want to suggest something, we're live on YouTube as we stand right now. So,
one suggestion is Brian suggesting you get a dog.
No.
Okay, so it's gonna be a cat.
Thanks for that anyway. Am I supposed to retweet your tweet, by the way, Mike?
Oh, okay, yeah, of course. I thought you were
on the podcast. I'm going to retweet
Hebsy, man. That's your job before I press record.
Okay.
You've only been doing this 231 weeks. Come on, or something like that.
How many have we done in the pandemic?
A lot, like every week of the pandemic. I think that's like I don't know 60. Okay, 60 weeks, I would guess, because we just did the 60th Pandemic Friday yesterday, as you might know.
All right, let's get into it. I'm a Raptors fan. You're a Raptors fan. We're all Raptors fans. We have been at least since 2019. But I feel like you've been taken advantage of this year. Like I'm a puppet and you're controlling me. I know it's been tough for the team. I know they haven't had a home, but I was led to believe that by not trading Kyle Lowry at the deadline, the Raptors were all in to try to make the playoffs. Pretty good team. I guess I was wrong. I guess I got taken for a ride. Trailing Washington by 3 games for the final play-in spot in the East, the Raptors needed all hands on deck last night. Instead, no. Kyle Lowry in street clothes? What's wrong? He's hurt again? No, rest. Who rests a guy with 4 games left in the season? Who does that? You're trying to make the playoffs or you're not? Well, I guess you're not.
Right.
OJ Anunoby apparently was perfectly fine, healthy enough to play, even if he was 75%. But he didn't see the court either. Instead, the Raptors started Stanley Johnson. Stanley Johnson played 29 minutes, 0 points in a must-win game. Where was Kyle Lowry? Where was OG Anunoby? I know Boucher's injured. I know other. Come on, Van Vliet's playing. Pascal Siakam is playing on frickin' fumes. Fumes. Scored 44 points. Notice about Pascal in the fourth quarter, he can't hit key free throws. He's so tired. And mentally as well, and I'm sure he suffered from COVID. I mean, he's given it all. And They went to overtime last night. Fred VanVleet hit a 3 with like a second and a half to go. And yet I'm looking at Lowry and I'm looking at OG and I'm like, these guys should be out there. We should be winning. This is a must-win game. But I guess they want that high draft pick. I guess they don't care about getting into the playoffs. I guess they don't feel they need to explain to their fans or followers what their intentions were. And now I'm thinking, what do they do with Lowry? A sign and trade in the summer? I think so. I think if Philly maybe gets knocked off in the first round, they're going to need a guy like Lowry. The Raptors are going to tell you what. We'll sign him. We'll trade. Let's make a deal. He's not part of our future. If he was part of your future, you would have played him last night. Wizards won in overtime 131-129, and the Raps just gave it their all. Man, I give this team, I keep saying, so much credit. How tough can it be to not have a home and go through what they've gone through? Awfully difficult. I'm so looking forward to them coming back to Toronto, welcoming them with open arms. They got 5 games to go. They trail Washington by 4. They're not dead, but they're on life support, and someone's going to pull the plug soon. I don't understand why the Raptors would give us the impression, Mike, that they were going to make a run and sit Lowry. Very disappointed.
Yeah, it doesn't feel right with the Raps not here. So I mean, I know the last several years when a Leaf game and a Raptor game conflicted, I know I was watching Raps, but this season I noticed I'm watching Leafs. Like I think it just doesn't. I don't know.
They've got a better chance of going places, and the Raptors, have been a disappointment. And Russell Westbrook, I have to mention, he plays for Washington, and he's such a good player. He went 13, 17, and 17. 13 points, 17 rebounds, 17 assists.
Wow.
That's sick. He's now 1 triple-double shy of Oscar Robertson, the Big O, who has the all-time record. But he's also the first NBA player ever, with 50 rebounds and 50 assists over a 3-game span.
Wow.
So that's just under 17 rebounds and 17 assists a game for 3 games in a row.
But are you okay with that statistic? I know you don't like these over a 3-game span facts.
Well, no, only because he's going to set the record of triple-doubles. And a triple-double, remember, a triple-double, all it means is double figures. It's at least 10 points, 10 rebounds, and 10 assists.
Right.
This guy the other night went 14, 21, and 24. Okay? Right. 21 rebounds, 24 assists. So that's more than a triple-double. That would be a double triple-double because it's 20. If it was 20 points, 20 rebounds, 20 assists, which he's done.
Right.
That's sick. So hats off to Russell Westbrook. He's a great player. Washington is a really good team. That's a scary team going into the playoffs. Scary team.
Gene Velitis says
the Raptors gave him.
Oh, I'm sorry for tramping all over there. That Otis and the Raptors have a lot in common with you today, he says.
Disappointing. You know, you love something or you love somebody or you love an animal or a team. You put your heart and soul, your passion, and then they kind of snub you. I don't really care about you.
Right.
Now, sometimes it's malicious, and other times it's just the way they are. Like a cat is a cat. I can't blame the cat. Cat goes and finds a better place, a warmer place, better food, whatever it is. The environment's different. That's not going to come back.
Oh, and Moose Grumpy.
I mean, I can't just become a Utah Jazz fan now.
Right. No, it's too late.
I'm all in with the Raptors. I'm all in with you. You got to be all in with me. You have to love me as much as I love you. And if you don't show me that love, man, I'm disappointed. I'm going to have to put the Raptors up for adoption.
Oh, since 95, buddy. Listen, Moose Grumpy says get 2 cats. Don't get 1. She says you got to get 2.
I've been a cat owner for many, many years. So I know all about it. But just give me some time. Okay. You can't just do that. You can't just, the cat that you nurtured, tried, loved, brought up from a kitten almost.
Right.
And now, it's time to say. It's not like the kid's going off to college and for a better life.
Right.
The cat's not even 3 years old. So it'll take me a while.
Now, I
will take suggestions. Thank you.
Sinclair Russell says, do we care that that Westbrook is a bit of a knucklehead?
Well, I think I'm a bit of a knucklehead too. I would hope you would care. Being a bit off. I mean, what's normal these days? He dresses a little funny. So what? It's him. He says things that he shouldn't say. He makes enemies of his teammates. Hell of a player. Mike, can we just fast forward right now to the opening round of the Stanley Cup playoffs? We just forget about the last few games and right to it, because that would be great, because we got the Habs again tomorrow night. But let's just continue it. Let's just say, okay, you know what? Let's just start the playoffs right now.
Right.
Because we're going to play Montreal. I don't think it's going to go 7 games. I'll tell you, if yesterday was any indication, the Leafs will sweep the Montreal Canadiens in their best of 7 series. Because with 3 games left to go in the regular schedule, 1 more against the hated Habs, the Leafs pretty much have clinched first place, while the Habs are 2 back of Winnipeg for 4th. 1 plays 4 in the first round of the playoffs. So the Winnipeg Jets have a game in hand on Montreal and a 2-point advantage on them. So I'm thinking if we can beat Montreal tonight, that'll pretty much seal it. We will play Montreal in the first round. So let's giddy up. Last night, 4-0 Leafs after the first 30 seconds. Like literally, I missed the start. It's 1-0. I went to the bathroom. It's 2-0. I went to make something to eat. It's 3-4-0. Holy cow. And Austin Matthews had nothing to do with any of the 4 goals, which to me is like a miracle. It's like the Blue Jays playing 3 straight games in Oakland and not hitting a home run, which we'll get to that later. Okay. But anyway, so it's 4-0 in the first, and you're saying to yourself, the Leafs are either going to win this game 6-1, or Montreal's going to come, they're going to peck away. The next goal's a big one. Okay, they got the goal. I mean, 4-1, and people are going, ooh, 4-1. You know what happens there. But I didn't see any Habs fans on Twitter saying, hey, here we come, we're going to beat the Leafs. No Habs fans thought that they could come back from 0-4. And they didn't. They made it 4-2. They made it interesting for a while, but never did I think, oh, the Leafs are going to blow this. Never. And then when Austin Matthews potted his 40th to make it 5-2, well, that was ball game. Jack Campbell steady in the nets again. Leafs avenged that overtime loss the other night to Montreal. And now the Leafs are a different team. And imagine when Nick Foligno and Zach Hyman join this lineup. How different are they going to look? How much better are they going to be? Because they weren't that physical last night. They didn't really need to be. They did a bit more in the third period when Montreal put the pressure on. But having a Hyman, having a Nick Foligno, and they have not played together. Not that they're going to play on the same line, but imagine sending a line out there with here, Hyman's going to bang these guys. The defense is going, oh shit, here comes Hyman. Oh shit. Hyman's off. Oh, here comes Foligno. Damn it. Right? And then, oh my God, we're going to get Igor Mikheyev, or we're going to get Thornton, or one of those big Simmons is going to come after us. Jesus Christ. The Leafs but the Leafs have turned into, a team to be reckoned with. And I don't know how they're going to do against the other divisions. I'm only concerned about how they're going to do in the first 2 rounds against the teams that they've been beating here. So there you go. And I don't care if Carey Price comes back. He's got to be close to perfect. And even if he is, I don't think Montreal can beat Toronto in a 7-game series. Convince me otherwise.
Yeah, Gary Faber points out, of course, that he says that the Leafs should do some damage in the playoffs, but with all that talent they have, but it's a whole new ball game in the playoffs. So yeah. Yep.
That's why you have to have the veterans out there, because in a 7-game series, and ask Nick's dad, Mike, 7 games against the Detroit Red Wings in the opening round in 1993. You had some veterans on that team. You had some kids on that team. You had acquired Doug Gilmour, Dave Andreychuk. Mm-hmm. You take a look at this Leaf team. Okay? And let me tell you, Felix Potvin was an excellent goaltender. Was he Patrick Waugh? No. But he was steady. And he had a steady defense in front of him. And he had guys that could score and they could check. He had a good checking line. It was a good team. Well-balanced team. Veterans, kids.
It's a good D-line.
But even so, not as talented as this team, Mike. There was no Austin Matthews on that Leaf team. There wasn't.
No, but their D, they had their McCowan and their Rouse, and that was a good D-line.
Sylvain Lefebvre, right. Todd Gill. Right? Jamie McCown, Jughead, a great nickname, Jamie McCown. Anyway, yeah, Leafs Montreal again tomorrow night, and then hopefully in the first round of the playoffs. Connor McDavid needs 4 points in 4 games to reach 100. 100 points in 56 games. Now think about this, Mike. Think in an 82-game schedule, you're going, wow, we don't have that many 100-point scorers anymore.
No.
But in 56 games? And how do we equate that to another athlete in another sport? Like, I don't get it. That's like a guy in basketball averaging 40 points a game and nobody else averaging 30. That's just so far ahead of everyone. Yeah. That's Gretzky-esque.
Right. But Hebsy, man, what about the fact, the obvious fact that we only played these same, he's only playing the same bunch of teams. Like, we don't really have a sense of what his point total might be like in a typical NHL season. Like,
we'll never know, but I can tell you this: if you're playing a team that many times, the coaching staff of other teams has got to be better prepared to take the guy on. So maybe by the 5th time you play Connor McDavid, you go, okay, I think we might be able to neutralize him and keep him down to like 1 point a game.
But it works both ways, and he's so incredibly gifted that he, by playing you more often, learns how to exploit your weaknesses.
But having said that, he might have even more points if he was playing the other teams because they wouldn't see him enough to be able to be prepared for him. So who knows?
Who knows? We'll never know, like you said.
No, we will never know. Earlier this week, the New York Rangers and Washington Capitals got into it. Tom Wilson was the center of attention, of course. Let me just say this. As long as Tom Wilson is allowed to play in the National Hockey League, the league must be considered second rate. The league's Department of Player Safety is a joke. They may as well have, seriously, Elmer the safety elephant running that. Because and they did, the predictions were, after that nonsense the other night, was that not one person said that Wilson would not get a suspension and would get a fine. Not one person suggested even that even the NHL wouldn't do that, wouldn't be that lenient.
Right.
And that's the word. They're just too lenient. They just are. They always have been. If you can suspend Nazem Kadri for what he did,
right?
Then and he was a multiple offender. You've got to look at Tom Wilson the same way. I mean, if I'm the Washington Capitals, I am absolutely laughing my ass off. I'm going, I can't believe what this guy gets away with. I'm sure the Capitals guys were cringing, going, oh, geez, Tom, not again. But as long as the league allows this to happen, they're going to be considered a second-rate league. And quite frankly, I wonder if ESPN and Turner, when they did the deal with the NHL, they said, by the way, are you guys going to streamline your player safety department so that the punishment fits the crime? Because in other sports we kind of have that, but you guys are all over the place.
But
I wonder if they had that discussion.
Hebsy, the attention on the next matchup between the Rangers and Capitals, that's kind of what they love in the States about hockey. They love that, right?
No, see, I disagree. I think they love it in Canada. I don't think they're that big. I don't think so. I mean, if you're a diehard Flyers fan and you like the fights, maybe, but I don't think so. Because,
it's been
the other night they just said they felt they had to bring up players and, right from the opening faceoff.
Sure.
And I just thought, this is just like Slapshot. Like if I'm trying to introduce somebody to the game, or let's put it this way, suppose I'm trying to get my daughter interested in women's hockey, but she sees the guys do this. You're not going, oh my God, Hanson brothers, oh my God. I'm not saying that everybody that loves the movie Slapshot loves fighting in hockey.
Right.
But if you look at the tweets of the Matthew Barnabys and the other, former fighters or players who are like, come on, this is the way hockey's supposed to be. You look at it and go, really? You still think that way and you still want to espouse that?
Okay, but I haven't seen that kind of attention on a regular season game in the States in a long time.
Of course not.
There's a lot of excitement.
Of course, it's New York. And it's also the New York newspapers were calling for him to be beheaded. He's got to be suspended for life, banned. Right? He's such a thug.
Sure.
But yet he's allowed to play. The fact that he was even allowed to play the very next game.
Right.
As soon as they said, wait, he's not suspended, we're playing tomorrow against him again.
So what's up with that, though? Wait.
I don't know, man. It's a Bush League.
Oh, man.
That's why people are calling it a Bush League. Don't you think?
No, to me, it's shameful that
shameful is a good word.
Yeah. It's shameful, but I do think that the ESPNs and stuff don't mind the attention on a game like they had there. That just seemed to be.
We'll see what the ratings are like.
Yeah,
you'll see. I mean, if people are going, look, I can't watch this. How can you air this stuff? I mean, if I wanted to watch wrestling, I'd watch wrestling. If I want to watch UFC, I'll watch UFC. Right. And that's the comparison I'm making. They didn't back in the day. People knew that wrestling was fake and that hockey fights were real. And then after a while, there was sort of this gray area where it kind of crossed over, where it became like buffoonery. It became Hanson brothers like. It was. They made fun of it. Come on.
Goon.
And then the other night, off the opening faceoff, I mean, look who was out there. Come on. Anyway, Let's talk some baseball now. The Blue Jays are a lot like the Leafs these days. A young, hungry team, superstar players, yet with some injury issues. Exhibit A would be George Springer, back on the IL. And by the way, it's not the DL anymore. It's been a couple years, okay? So some of these sports sites like TSN, come on, TSN? It's not the DL. You can't use the word disabled anymore. It's not a politically correct word. Come on. So George Springer and his quadricep. This is just, and they lied to us. They fucking lied to us, the Blue Jays. And you can see now why a lot of people are like, I don't like the Shapiro, Atkins, Shatkins. I don't like Charlie Muntz. I don't like this triumvirate here. They're creepy. They're kooky, mysterious and spooky. They're all together ooky. The Shatkins family. Ew.
Explain. Tell me more, though. Because they opened the Rogers vault there. Like, this is the biggest, biggest money signing in the history of the franchise. Yeah. They finally did what we kept saying, like, spend the money, and they do it. And now what is it? You think they just rushed him back too quickly?
Come out and say, look, George Springer's got an issue that's going to take longer than a couple of weeks. We're shutting him down. We want to make sure he's 100%, which is sort of what they said. Then they brought him back, and the first thing they said was, we're not going to play him in center field. Well, wait a minute. Let me get this straight. You want him to be 100%. Because if he's 100%, then he's your starting center fielder and your leadoff man. Is that about right? Yeah, okay. So you're bringing him back, yeah, but we're not starting him in center field. So he's not 100%. And then you gave him a scheduled day off on the Monday after he played 3-4 games, after taking him out of the other game. And now you're telling us, like we're idiots. Oh, no, he's all right. No problem. I can just see the phone. Charlie, this is what you tell the media today. Just say he's all right. He's day to day. It was a scheduled day off. And then the next day, he can't play. Okay, Charlie, this is what you tell the media today. Forget about what we told you yesterday. Tell him this today. And he's going, but I keep telling them that I'm lying to them. I'm lying. We know that he's not right. Everyone saw him grab his quadricep. Everybody saw him grab his quadricep. And then he had said that he caught his cleat I caught my cleat when I was running to first base. What? You weren't 100% to start with. And part of baseball, a key thing if you're going to be the designated hitter, even though you don't have to play the field, is when you hit the ball, especially on the ground, you're running as hard as you can to first base. That quadricep's got to be 101%. The hell are they doing? And really, were we really going? Was the team playing that bad where we were really going, come on, we've got to have Springer. We've got to have him. We need him. No, it was April. We didn't need to have him. We needed to have him 100%.
And you're not trying to sell tickets, which is one reason people rush back their superstars to sell tickets. And that's off the table.
Lying to us. Okay, at least they were honest with Alejandro Kirk. At least they were somewhat honest with us with Julian Merriweather. Although I don't think so. I just think they've been lying all along with injuries and with not being 100%. It's an upper body, a lower body. He's fine. He's day to day. He's week to week. He wasn't. Springer had a problem. They knew he had a problem. They went to the medical staff. They said, can he play? Can we take him to Oakland? Well, yeah. George, how do you feel? Oh, I'm ready to go. Of course he's going to say that. $150 million. Of course he's going to say that. George, are you sure you want to risk yourself like that? No, I'm not risking myself. I'm 95%, 98%. George, you think you can play center field? I don't know about that. That should have been the warning signal. The red flag was right there. He's going to start by playing DH. And what was the plan? Play 3 games and then put him in center field? If his quad didn't act up, that was the idea?
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, fuck, I'm pissed off.
Okay,
really
Russell,
and they got such a good team. This bullpen is fantastic.
Okay, but it's to borrow a line from Mike Wilner, it's early here. So Russell, on your YouTube channel, where everybody who is listening to us on the podcast, just let them know you can actually watch us do this live and comment, and I'll read them in real time. But Russell just says, did the Jays do their due diligence on with Springer's health? Let's trust a blip in a glorious 5-year term. Okay, well, so that's
George does have soft tissue issues, has in his career. You have to be honest here. If it's a broken bone or something that requires a certain amount of rehab that we know, okay. And I've heard of these injuries before, and so have you, where you can't put a timeline on it. The oblique, the groin,
plantar
quadricep.
fasciitis or whatever that's called.
I get it. But if that's the case, be honest and say, this is really mysterious to us. We would love to have George back, and George would love to play, but we really can't risk it. We would rather have George, even if he came back in June and was fully healthy for June, July, August, and September. We'd rather have that. But right now, the over-under on George Springer's number of games he's going to play this year is about 120. And that's only if he comes back off the IL next week and doesn't miss a game. If that's the case, I think Rob Longley I think he'll play 131 games.
Unlikely.
Right. So what's the over-under on George Springer, and how much do you want to risk his long-term health over, 10 games, 15 more? If you said to me right now, George is going to miss 15 more games, maybe 20, I'm okay with that. Give me a date. What are we looking at here?
Sure.
1st of June? Is he going to be 100%? Can he go right in and play center field? If the answer is yes, do it. But don't screw me around by saying, well, he's okay. He's almost there. We want him to be 100%. That's why we've been waiting. And then when you finally do put him out there, the dude hits 2 home runs and then grabs his freaking quadricep trying to outrun a ground ball to first. Okay. So yesterday's game. Mm-hmm. Oh, and by the way, so Kirk's out at least a month. David Phelps had to leave the game the other day after throwing 1 warm-up pitch. Hey, Julian Merriweather, 60-day IL. Thomas Hatch, progressing, but not yet ready to come back. And yet the Jays still keep punching away. Yesterday it was Hyun Jin Ryu, fresh off the IL himself. Had a little bit of a groin issue, a little bit of an, I don't know, up there, down in the Netherlands there. Right? He struggled, though, in his 5-inning stint, giving up 6 hits and a walk. But the offense bailed him out as Marcus Semien had 4 hits, including a home run. He had a good series in Oakland, went back home, got to see the family, slept in his own bed. Randall Grichuk has been playing great. Okay? Randall Grichuk is like George Springer. I don't think I've ever heard of him before. What position does he play? He had a big home run. Danny Jansen, who was hitting like, a pocket change. Like, reach into your pocket. What do you got? 48 cents? That's about what Danny Jansen was hitting. Right. Seriously. And people were just like, we got to get somebody. And then Kirk goes down. What does Jansen do? Steps right in. Thank you very much. Big home run for him. Kevin Biggio, 3 hits. The bullpen, as usual, shut the A's down over the final 4 innings, and the Jays ended up winning it 10-4. They're now 16-14 on the year, 2 back of Boston, and a half game behind Tampa Bay. And by the way, the Yankees are a half game back of the Jays, and Baltimore is a game further back. The AL East, baby. Now, what if you had to play all season long against only your own division, and you were only playing the AL East all year long? Oh, shit, it's Yankees. Oh, God, Boston again. No rest. AL East is tight, baby. Toronto travels to Houston to take on the Houston assholes starting tonight. Right. Ross Stripling on the hill for T.O.
Hebsy, do you remember 1 year ago when we would be doing Hebsy on sports and there was no sports to talk about? And look at us now, like there's so much. We got the Leafs and the Jays and the Raps, and there's just a plethora of sports to discuss. It's good, man. It's good.
Kentucky Derby was last Saturday. Do you know I had forgotten all about the Kentucky Derby? Oh, because they had the Kentucky Derby in September.
Right.
Last year, they had it all out of order. The Belmont was first in June, right. Then the Kentucky Derby was in September. Then the Preakness was in October. It's all screwed up. It's like the Masters last year too. So this year's kind of been what? I missed the Kentucky Derby. That's right.
We do this every year, but the kids, everybody picks a horse. I guess this is commonplace. But my 5-year-old, 2 years in a row, my 5-year-old has picked the winner in the Kentucky Derby.
That's good. How much money did you make?
0.
Okay. The minor leaguers. Let's talk about these boys because the Jays have got these prospects, baby, prospects. Alek Manoah, first round pick in, I think 2019? Right out of college. Played, pitched a few innings last year in Vancouver in low A, and starts the season with the Buffalo Bisons after a great spring training, strikes out 12 in 6 innings of work for the Bisons and allows just 1 hit as the Bisons win over Worcester. Man, are they hitting. Rowdy Tellez with a home run. I mean, hey, baby, the Bisons are going to be good. Only problem is they're playing in Trenton, New Jersey this year because Toronto will be playing in Buffalo. But anyway, Simeon Woods Richardson, who came over in the Marcus Stroman deal, 20 years old, went 4 innings, struck out 8 for Double-A New Hampshire. These guys are all in a pitch count, by the way, too. Manoah threw, I think, 85 pitches. Simeon Woods Richardson in the 70s. All right? That's the way you start these guys out. You know, they're not throwing 100 pitches. See how they do at 70, 80, and then move them up a little bit. So anyway, Simeon Woods Richardson allowed 3 runs in 4 innings. Only one of them was earned, and he walked just 1. So this is the future of the Jays pitching staff, along with the great Nate Pearson, the chosen one, Nate Pearson, who looked pretty good for Buffalo the other night. 10 strikeouts, I think it was, in 5 innings. Not quite ready for the major leagues there because people were like, okay, let's call him up. No. Let him dominate in AAA and then bring him up. Willie Mays turned 90 yesterday, Mike.
Ooh.
Willie Mays.
Happy birthday.
He has 660 career home runs. They say, and I believe them, that had he not had to play most of his home games at Candlestick Park in San Francisco, where the wind was always blowing in, he probably would have had 1,000 home runs, they say.
Unbelievable.
So he had 660.
Yes.
That's good for 6th all time. Do you know who the 5 players who have more home runs than Willie Mays are? And I'll give you a hint. They all have an A in their first names.
Okay, well, first of all, when I was I think 10 years old, I had a book called The 500 Club. And this book had every player, this is, I guess, early 80s. Yep. So every player had 500 career homers. And there was a period of time where I read that book all the time, and I had to kind of memorize. I can tell you all the guys. But I always remember Willie Mays always 3rd place because you have Hank Aaron. This is back in the early 80s. Hank Aaron, Babe Ruth, and then Willie Mays. And those are the only guys who had 600 plus homers.
For years, yeah.
So, of course, Barry Bonds is the new home run champion.
Yes, he is.
So you got him, you still got Hank. Okay, so who else am I missing? Sammy Sosa's got 600 plus, but I don't know if he got 660.
Yeah, 600 plus, but not 660 plus.
What about Ken Griffey Jr.? Is he up there?
No, I said he has an A in his first name.
Oh, I got to listen closer. Wait, give me a second to think of who I'm missing. Who the hell has come up? So Barry Bonds, of course.
Right. So
help me out.
You think about this.
Okay.
You let me know when you want the answer. One guy just did it recently. And the other guy a little before that. Two more guys past Willie. He's 6th now.
Yeah, I'm feeling great shame here. Pujols, is Albert?
Correct.
Okay.
Albert Pujols has 667. Just passed him recently.
Okay.
Yeah. And the other one? J-Lo.
Alex Rodriguez.
Correct.
A-Rod. Okay.
696 home runs.
I like this game because, again, my brain goes back to the early 80s, and then I have to think of what's happened in the last 40 years.
See, but your 500 club, you got Ernie Banks, Willie McCovey,
Jimmy Fox, I think.
Eddie Matthews.
And you got Mr. October's in there.
Ted Williams.
Mike Schmidt, maybe?
Mike Schmidt, yeah.
I feel like he was in there. And then, Mr. October.
Reggie.
Right. Jimmy Fox?
Jimmy Fox, yep. 534, I think. Mel Ott.
Yeah. Al Kaline, was he up there?
No, I don't think Al Kaline had 500 home runs. I don't believe so. But anyway, yeah, okay. I remember because I remember seeing a poster somewhere with the 500 home run club. No, I know what it was. It was a bat signed by all the members of the 500 home run club at that time. Right. Living members of the 500 home run club. Williams was on it. Mickey Mantle was on it.
Right.
Willie McCovey was on it. Ernie Banks was on it. All these, Ted Williams, all these great names. Sam Musial did not hit 500 home runs.
Right, and Al Kaline had 399. So.
Oh, okay. Let's talk a little golf here, and our sponsor, Crosswinds Golf, of course. Love to talk about them. Would love to be out there playing this weekend like everybody else. You know the story in Ontario. I don't even really want to get into it because it's unfair. And any thought they say of the Ford government rescinding their lockdown and saying, all right, let's go, let's play outdoors, is not going to happen. So I feel sorry for all golfers in the province of Ontario and, of course, for our friends at Crosswinds. But believe me, once they get the green light, once the word comes down, all right, golf, tennis, all the outdoor activities open for business, you're going to go to crosswindsgolf.com. You're going to book your tee time. You're going to be out there playing before you know it.
Hebsy, man, how much of this I think is stubbornly like political at this point? Because that day, which was I think a Friday, so after we did Hebsy and Sports, Doug Ford made a whole whack of announcements, and very few of them made any sense with regards to science or the science table, etc. And the very next day, like 24 hours later, he took 2 of them back, like 2 of them, the playgrounds. He said, "Okay, I changed that one. We were wrong," and he took back the whole like cops stopping you and say, "What the hell are you doing out here?" So but maybe it was because he had to take 2 back, which of course is really bad politically. He didn't want to take all those other bad decisions he made back, like taking back golf. And if you take them all back, it's like, how inept are you? Like, how completely out of touch and clueless are you that you made a whack of announcements and then had to walk them back 24 hours later?
But if you walk them back and people go, hey, he came to his senses. And then after a while you go, you know what? I guess it took some guts for the Ford government to admit they were wrong and to allow it to happen. But as the days go on and the weather gets nicer, see, he's been lucky the last couple of weeks because the weather hasn't been that great in Ontario. That
it's been raining,
not that many days where people are like, oh, this is a perfect golf day, but it's coming.
Right.
And so I think that this stubbornness is like he hasn't been outside much. He's not going for walks and taking in the outdoors. He doesn't believe the science. But also, for some odd reason, it's almost like saying, no, I know better than you, and being outside isn't as good as you think it is.
Insanity.
And everyone else is going, no, you need, the more people that are outside, the less people will be inside where they're going to contract the disease. Right? I mean,
Hebsy, I'm sure there was zero spread on golf courses in this province.
None.
Yet, think about it. We're the only jurisdiction on the continent that took away golf.
It's impossible. It can't be done. You cannot contract it outdoors in a sport that's the easiest sport in the world to, and we proved it last year, distancing. But I don't want to knock my head against the wall because they're not listening to that.
No, they're not listening to reason.
What's happening is the more people that are complaining, the more he's just shutting them down. And this thing with the golf course in Tilsonburg, these idiots that decided to go rogue, probably right off the bat, he's like, oh, really? They want to be like that? Screw them. And he held fast. He said, screw golf, screw golfers.
You can't fish either. Have you heard that? No fishing. Have you heard that?
Yep.
That's even more insane.
I was throwing a ball around. My girlfriend and I were throwing a ball in the park across the street. And people were going, you can't do that.
That's insanity.
What are you talking about?
Well, see, we need civil disobedience. We need to rise up.
Every wall of every school has somebody hitting a tennis ball against it. They can't play on the tennis courts, and although people are, ones that aren't locked. I mean, it's just, if you were a visitor here, you would never in a million years think that there was any kind of an outdoor lockdown. You would never go, well, except for the tennis courts being locked, for example. But beyond that, when you go to Trinity Bellwoods Park, people are throwing frisbees around. People are playing hacky sack. People are playing this other, what's this other game, man? With a ball and like a little mini trampoline where you bounce the ball off this little mini trampoline. It's like it's like volleyball and hacky sack.
Good for them.
People are playing. They're out there doing outdoor activities.
Well,
it's just madness and ridiculous.
What is
anyway,
it?
CrosswinsGolf.com. When the golf season in Ontario, everyone else is laughing at us. Every other jurisdiction in the world is going, look at that, Ontario.
Insanity. I like Gene Velitis' line, though. He says, maybe Otis will walk back his decision to leave the Hebsy man.
No, not going to happen. He's found a better place, man. I get it. There's no grudge. He found a place that's more comfortable. The food is better, right? The humans smell better there. There's 2 of them to love him, not just one.
What's this about the smell? Holy smokes.
Oh, whatever.
You smell good, Hebsy.
Thanks. In golf, Phil Mickelson shot 7 under 65 opening round Wells Fargo Championship, Charlotte, North Carolina. Top Canadian Corey Connors, who was at 2 under. They're out on the course right now. David Hearn, Nick Taylor, Adam Hadwin, well back, as is Mackenzie Hughes and Michael Gligich from Burlington. Must have played crosswinds. LPGA circuit, Brooke Henderson's taken the week off, but Elena Sharp of Hamilton, my former hometown, playing in the Honda Thailand Classic. She's tied for 50th place. Sports media news looks like it's going to be Kenny Albert. That's the son of Marv Albert. Yes. I shouldn't say that because Kenny's he's got to be in his 50s, I'm going to say.
Right.
Late 40s or 50s. So
he's good.
But he's the son of Marv Albert. He's going to be working, it looks like, with Eddie Olczyk on the Turner NHL broadcast starting this fall. You know that ESPN and Turner signed a deal with the National Hockey League worth like $1 billion a year if you include the Rogers money. And ESPN, the main network, because they had hockey for many, many years. Steve Levy, they say, is likely going to be the top play-by-play guy. And Ray Ferraro, it looks like, if you believe the reports, multiple reports, that he is going to be the number one analyst. They've reached out, and why wouldn't they, to Ray Ferraro to become the number one analyst.
Does that mean
the booth or ringside?
Right, he's good. But does that mean he leaves TSN? You can't do both, or what's the deal there?
Of course, I would think. Because ESPN's going to have a much, much heavier schedule than NBC, where guys like Ray and Gord Miller could, freelance for them when there wasn't a TSN game to be done. Right? So I don't know how many TSN games Gord and Ray Ferraro do. It's a considerable number, I guess, if you add them up. But obviously, in their schedule, NBC would, we need you here, we need you there. Can you work there? They freelance for them.
And he does the juniors too, right?
Yeah, but that's a one-off in late December, right?
Just
again
looking at what we'll miss out on here.
Yeah, no, you're right. Not only that, a lot of radio hits that Ray Ferraro does with the TSN stations that are very, very good. Apparently, Kevin Weeks is in the mix also for a big role. His name, you can throw the name of any decent hockey announcer, either a studio, a panelist, Mike Milbury, Keith Jones, any of these guys that had done the NBC broadcast.
Don Cherry? Is Don Cherry in the mix?
No, he's not. But they do need a Don Cherry type or somebody, I think, but maybe not. They might not go with a panel show at all.
Well, Don's a Don Cherry type.
Completely different.
Yeah, right.
Who knows? And there's talks that ESPN has approached Wayne Gretzky about a broadcasting role. Wayne Gretzky is the alternate governor of the Edmonton Oilers. Not sure you'd be able to have both jobs. I'd think that if he wanted to, he could do whatever the fuck he wanted, Gretz? I think I'd like to do some broadcasting.
Sure.
I'd pick up the phone or have Mike Barnett pick up the phone. Call ESPN to it. But instead, ESPN had made overtures to Gretzky. The first word that I heard was that they were rebuffed for now. But who knows? Maybe they come up with something. Maybe not as an analyst or whatever. Maybe some other role that Wayne Gretzky, the great one, could perform for ESPN and Turner. Who knows? Mike, if you were in the marketing department, how do we leverage her?
You actually broke up for that question. I need you to repeat that question. Your internet broke up for like a millisecond.
How do you think ESPN could take someone like Wayne Gretzky and market him and utilize him to their best abilities, to promote the sport, to have his opinion, maybe not even his opinion, his expertise on something, his ability to communicate. I don't know.
Here's the thing, though. We've known him forever. Wayne Gretzky is the most famous hockey player in America. Like when you think, that is the biggest name. So there's a huge draw on the name. But as an actual analyst or commentator, Wayne Gretzky's not very good. Like, he's boring. Don't you find him boring? Don't you find him boring? Like, Brett Hull would be a better guy. Like, Brett Hull, I feel like you need somebody who's going to be interesting.
That's what you're looking for.
Well, isn't that what you want? Interesting? Like, I want a Hebsy man because Hebsy's interesting. Like, I find these vanilla guys like Wayne Gretzky's a bit safe.
Right. But you're talking about them as an analyst, as a commentator.
Well, what else would he be? He's not going to be Ron McLean or whatever. Like, he's not going to be.
No. I'm thinking, look, you could put a cape on and be, Super Gretz or something. I don't know, man.
Oh, Peter Puck.
Do a cartoon, a Gretzky cartoon. Swoops in to save the National Hockey League.
Or to explain offsides to Americans.
That would be funny, wouldn't it, though? Can you imagine if he'd have to work with someone else. You'd have to get Dennis Leary and Wayne Gretzky together. And hey, Wayne, can you explain offsides? The people Messier in Seattle who are going to have a team, But remember when they expanded, they had to explain to the American audiences, with Peter Puck, what an offside was and stuff like that. So but maybe Gretzky could be the 21st century version of Peter Puck.
Remember, I just had Peter Puck on Toronto Mike because Brian McFarland.
Gretz the Puck. Okay, so I mentioned Kenny Albert looks like he's going to be the play-by-play guy for Turner with Eddie Olczyk. Now, years ago when Fox had hockey, they also had Fox had a digital service that they were going to compete with ESPN. And they spent a lot of money on it. And what they were going to do was they were going to have sort of the equivalent of EA Sports, NHL 99 or whatever it was. But Fox had the rights to do this as well. They had their own service where they were going to have a game that went with it. It was going to be like Fox Hockey, and it was going to be like a game, a video game, right?
Okay.
It was like 20 years ago. So the folks at Fox, because they had just acquired the NHL rights, maybe it was even longer, we're like, okay, we want to, if we're going to have NHL hockey on Fox, we've got to have more than that. So I got a call once saying, we would like you to come to LA and come visit us at Fox. We want you to do an audition, because I was doing Leaf games color with Joe Bowen at the time, now that I think of it. And we want you to work with Kenny Albert here, and we want to come up with this concept where you two guys would be calling play-by-play of these video games.
Sure.
And it was different platforms. I think they were going to do it they were going to have like a live interactive one that they would, do every week. Here we are live on the Fox Sports Network website or whatever. So they thought, this would be great. So I spoke with Kenny Albert on the phone a couple of times. We kind of did an audition on the phone, blah, blah, blah. And then, okay, you're going to go to Los Angeles. Wow. So they fly me to Los Angeles, wow. Fox Sports, right?
Yeah.
They're great. And they've got all these plans for digital this and downloading, not even downloading. I can't even remember what the terms were, but it was like, hey, you've seen EA Sports, you've seen these video games. Well, we're going to dip our toes into that market, and we're going to start by doing it on the Fox website. And we're going to have, we want you and Kenny Albert to do, he's going to call the play-by-play, and you're going to throw in the comments.
Right. And
so it was very exciting and all that, but I had to get permission from my boss at the time to be able to do this, because I didn't want, you can't have your voice if you're doing play-by-play, legit play-by-play for an NHL team. You can't have your voice there. You got to get permission. So I got permission from my bosses, and we were all set to go. And they even, they had paid me in advance, for the first month's work, because there was going to be a lot of work done to put these together. And then I remember reading on the wire service somewhere that Fox Sports has slashed the digital platform, the website sport, like all this stuff. They had just made this complete pivot where they were going to throw their money into NFL telecasts.
Sure.
They'd gotten hockey and they were getting football, and they just said, no, we're taking all that money we were going to spend, and it's all going to go towards the NFL. Right. Oh. And like overnight, it was like, I remember phoning going, hey, is this going to affect us? It's like, no answer. Leaving messages, no answer. Leaving emails, no answer. Calling Kenny Albert. Kenny, what's going on? We did this thing. Whenever, are we going to do this or not? No answer. Nothing. For about a month. And then got this letter saying, we're awfully sorry, and it didn't work out that way. It's too bad. Hopefully we can work in the near future. And at the same time, the San Jose Sharks, I had sent in an audition tape to them because they had an opening on their broadcast, and I wanted to do play-by-play. And so I was doing some negotiating there and keeping this on. I'm thinking to myself, wow, this could be like fantastic.
Right.
I could go from doing Leaf broadcasts on radio with Joe Bowen to like doing my own, being the play-by-play guy of the Sharks, and doing like Fox Sports hockey.
Wow. And
who knows, maybe getting on Fox Sports and doing the NHL games on Fox. And then nothing.
Oh.
Didn't hear back from Fox. Crickets from the Sharks. They had hired somebody else.
Hey, did Fox ask for that advance payment back?
No.
Hey, there you go. At least that.
No, they never asked. Like I said, they'd flown me out there, and we'd done a couple of short little auditions or demos or whatever it was. But it was so exciting because it's Fox, man. And they were throwing money around.
And the whole San Jose, that's a great place. I can see Hebsy and San Jose. What a match. Holy smokes. You would have owned that place. That's beautiful.
Would have broken up my marriage prematurely because my wife at the time would not have wanted to move. But anyway, that's that. So that's my story there. A new program director at Fan 590. I mean, people have been talking about this, but not a peep. Like nothing is leaked out. Like nothing. It's airtight.
We talked about Greg Brady was a candidate.
He never was. By the way, I talked to Greg about that.
Oh.
He never was.
Because that was reported by the Toronto sports media guys.
Never was a candidate ever, ever, ever. Don't know where they got that.
You know what? Sometimes you gotta go straight to the source and find out what's cooking there.
I mean, he had spoken to Greg about something completely different, I think, but no, he was never a candidate. But this new PD apparently, multiple sources, one of which is Toronto sports media. Jonah's got some pretty good contacts. Does not have experience in programming sports radio, is all I know. Someone from outside, not a sports radio programmer. Different.
Do you have a clue?
Will the fan lineup sound different in the fall? Abso-fucking-lutely.
And we have no further details, right? This is a stay tuned. Okay, so all we know is that things will be different.
If you listen to the fan at all, you're like, okay, what's their best show? What have they got going? What are people buzzing about? And the answer is nothing. You go to TSN 1050, people are buzzing about Overdrive. There's a buzz about Overdrive. You don't like Overdrive, do you, Mike?
It's not. I don't want to say that because I haven't given it a fair shot, because I really, other than some CBC radio, I honestly I don't hear any radio in my life anymore. There's just no radio.
Well, don't you think you should?
I don't know why. Like,
well,
I'm so fulfilled.
If you're a co-host on this show and we talk sports media, don't you think you should?
Well, I definitely
watch the Leafs, don't you? You watch the Raptors. You watch the Jays.
You got to understand, Hebsy. These kids are at school, at home, and I have my own business I run, and I like to listen to podcasts on my bike.
We've all had kids before, man.
No, but they usually
do this.
Hebsy, if I may, because I had kids before too. Usually we send them off to school in the morning, and then they come home in the afternoon, and you got a full day. That has evaporated. It's not the same anymore. I promise you.
All right, do me a favor then. Get your kids, since they're spending so much time at home, to listen to sports radio and tell you what's going on.
I'll give them the assignment.
Okay, just after we went off the air last week, news came down about Roberto Alomar, and the Blue Jays almost immediately announced that they were taking his name off their level of excellence at the Skydome, and they were taking down any banners with Alomar's likeness on them, right? Right. They were completely disassociated.
There's a Hall of Fame banner that's coming down.
Hall of Fame banner coming down.
Anything.
And then right around the same time, Edward Rogers and his wife were photographed at Mar-a-Lago with Donald Trump. Right. And I thought, wait a minute. Did they just, Roberto Alomar was kicked out of Major League Baseball. He violated their sexual harassment workplace policy. The case is closed. The investigators did their investigating. They came down with a decision, presented it to Major League Baseball, who suspended him pretty much indefinitely, I guess, right? He's off he's on the restricted list.
Right.
But people are clamoring, going, wait, we need details. I need to find out. I want to know what exactly he did. Did he put his hands down a woman's pants? Did he say things about her? Did he insinuate? Did he make comments about her personal appearance? What exactly was it that this woman had to go through? And so I'm looking at this going, what do we really, we want to know, we're curious people, but do we deserve to know? Is it up to us to say, I need facts before I can say that Roberto Alomar should have had his number taken down? I want the facts.
What's your take on that? I got one, but I want to hear yours first.
Look, as much as I'd like to know as well, it's not my business. And if they made their decision and they had an investigation, then so be it. All I know is this: the memories that I have of Roberto Alomar as a player will never go away. Never. They'll last forever. I'm not going to look at the play and go, oh yeah, the poor guy did this after baseball. It happens to people in every walk of life. They do what they do in their business, in their profession, their chosen profession. And then after they're done with that, after they've retired from that, they have a life that's completely different. And if they screw up in that particular life and they're imprisoned for it, or they're fired for it, or they're people are disassociated with them or feel differently about them, well, I'm sorry. That's the way life is. So he was kicked out of Major League Baseball. He's shunned by at least one of the teams he played with. It leaves a bad taste in my mouth, but I still have the memories of him as a great baseball player, and those will never leave. And I'm sorry for what happened to the victim. And if the investigation showed that he violated Major League Baseball's policy on sexual harassment, he gets what he deserves.
Yeah, worse than harassment, I think. But I will just say that
no, that's the policy. See,
is that what it's called?
They wouldn't go into detail. All they said was he violated Major League Baseball's workplace sexual harassment policy. That could.
They should probably rename that.
It could be anything.
Yeah, right.
But certainly was enough for them. It's not like I doubt very seriously that he just said a couple of things to a woman and she said, look, I'm uncomfortable going into work.
Right. No,
I would think it was considerably more than that.
And I think that's most ball players. But let me, if I may, yes, I agree with you, Hebsy, man. We don't need to know the details. Like, they had a third party investigate, and then they based on that third party's investigation, they determined they needed to do what they had to do, which is fine. Do what you got to do. But I will say, I agree with you also on the fact that it doesn't tarnish at all my amazing memories of 92 and 93. I read, I think Wilner and some others are like it's not this, like, to me.
No, Wilner went overboard because his suggestion was it's too bad. It's so sad.
Right.
It's not sad. Okay? It's not sad. You still have the memories. You know,
right.
you still have them. They're not tarnished.
No, what is
look
very
at the
sad
videotape
is,
and go, it's tarnished.
It's sad that we can't celebrate what I believe to be the greatest ball player to wear a Blue Jays uniform. Like, in my opinion, like, that's very subjective, but I think he's the greatest ball player to wear a Blue Jays uniform. And I would love to be able to celebrate him, like have him throw out a first pitch and have his name on. Like, I love that. So it's very sad that all has to come down. But my memories, which are still very clear, my memories of 92, 93 are not affected by this. This is
no.
You know, his home run off Eckersley, like, seeing that, I have the same feelings. Right. I'm sorry if maybe he turned out to be a shitty human being, but on the ball, on the field play, you know, he was a great Blue Jay player. I don't know, obviously maybe not a great Blue Jay human being, but that's sad, of course. But yeah,
but the thing is, he's in the Hall of Fame because of his baseball.
Of
you
course.
Say the same thing about Pete Rose. He's not in the Hall of Fame. He never.
But
got
that's
that
a very,
far.
very different.
But had he gotten into the Hall of Fame and they found out about his gambling and all that, I doubt that they would have taken his plaque down. Because, like they said with Alomar, the plaque is there because at the time, his performance on the field was exemplary and deserved and was voted in. He was voted in.
Sure.
See, that's another thing. If you voted him into the Hall of Fame at that time, and then they said, oh, by the way, that vote of yours meant nothing at all because post-baseball career, he was a shitty human being.
Right.
Wait a minute, though, but one's got nothing to do with the other.
Right.
And so you can drag his name through the mud, but you cannot take down that plaque, or you can't take away those achievements.
But you know what I think?
You can't erase those achievements.
You're 100% right. You're 100% right.
Anyway.
I mean, is O.J. Simpson still in the NFL Hall of Canton, Ohio?
Pro Football Hall of Fame? I believe he is.
Because think about that for a minute, right? Like,
I believe he is.
Okay.
But again, he was voted in because at that time, he deserved to be into the Hall of Fame.
And he did deserve for what he did on the field of play.
Not a Hall of Fame of human beings. It's a Hall of Fame of football players.
Sure, ask Ty Cobb, of course. Yeah, one thing that is sad, though, is there's a lot of us, now, not me, I don't personally, I was a big George Bell guy, but I thought Alomar was the best Blue Jay ever. But and a lot of people, like, you can't just put on your number 12 Alomar jersey and go to the Dome anymore. Like, that's the sadness. Like, you can't celebrate this guy's career anymore. But, when I'm alone and I look at my scrapbooks and I see his arms in the air, he hit the homer off Eckersley, like, I still have warm memories of that moment that are untarnished by the fact he might be a shitty human being.
I'm sure you're not the only one, and I'm sure there are other sports fans out there, many, whose heroes had fallen at one time or another post-career, and you took it personal because you invested a lot of your time, your energy, your love into following that player, and to find those things out post-career, it's too bad, but that's life.
On this topic, would you put Joey Bats on the field of excellence now that there might be some space?
No.
Okay. I just wondered
win a World
because
Series.
No, he did not. He did not.
Had some nice, individual moments out there. Hit the home run, but that was the home, not in the World Series, like Joe.
I will just say George Bell didn't win a World
comparison.
Series.
It's what had happened in the inning before that had led to that. That's a great moment in the playoffs. That's wonderful, but it's not Babe Ruth pointing to center field bleachers and then hitting a home run in a World Series.
I would just say, though, my favorite player of all time is on the field of excellence. Didn't get a sniff at a World Series. Like, George Bell is not a part of any Blue Jay World Series memories, but I would say that Joey Bats probably had a better career as a Blue Jay than George Bell even, or at least equal to. Like, I feel like if George Bell's up there, and I think he belongs up there, I think Joey Bats can be in the field of excellence.
Okay, you won't get an argument from me. He certainly captivated the fans of Toronto.
Yeah,
the way George Bell did.
Yeah, I had a great career here.
He did, definitely. Okay, that's it for episode 231 of Hebsy on Sports, and thanks as always to our fabulous sponsor, Crosswinds Golf and Country Club in Burling. You will be golfing there soon. Trust me. I know. I don't have a pipeline to Ford, but it's going to be soon. Check them out, crosswindsgolf.com, and when the green light comes down, get ready. book your tee time with them. We will all be golfing soon in Ontario. Fingers crossed. Thanks also to Toronto Mike for production and inspiration. Exemplary work. Check out his fabulous Toronto Mike podcast as well.
And yesterday, on Pandemic Friday, when we kicked out the Girl Jams, special guest, Hebsy.
That's right, my Allman Brothers selection, which was a dandy.
You were great, and I noticed you didn't realize you signed up for a 3-hour tour. You almost made it. Well,
no, because we're recording this thing, and I'm going, the Jays game starts in a few minutes.
I know.
Or no, the Leafs game starts, and I haven't eaten yet, and wow, you guys can talk a lot. It was a lot of fun, yeah. So check that out, and thanks for listening. Thanks to you for listening and engaging. We really do appreciate it. Tell your friends, and thanks for allowing us into your headspace. We're back with another episode next week. Until then, so long for now. This podcast has been produced by TMDS and accelerated by Roam Phone. Roam Phone brings you the most reliable virtual phone service to run your business and protect your home number from unwanted calls. Visit roamphone.ca to get started.
Okay, good stuff. Just looking at the YouTube, like a lot of people thanking you. Like Mike says, excellent. Dale Cadeau, he says he's going to come here for a golf tournament in June, and he hopes you're right. Gary Faber says, great show, boys.
Nice.
Mike Kerr says, have a safe week. And Gordon Enright agrees with me on the Joey Bats thing. So shout out to Gordon Enright. But okay, good stuff.
How many years did Joey Bats play with us? More than Alomar? I think so.
Yeah. Alomar's only 5 years. I feel
Alomar played 5 years.
Bats was more than that. It was a long time. Because the 09 is when he broke out, wasn't it? 09? I can't remember now. But 08, 09.
Yeah, I think you might have played 10 years here, right?
Yeah, and he was fucking look at those numbers. Like especially for a few years, he was the best hitter in baseball. This guy, I think he was tremendous. But let me
biggest deep threat.
Turn off the cameras.
All right.
See you all next week.